Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel for The Successful Mentalist. My name is Ashley Green and today we're joined by a very special guest who the avid podcast fans amongst you might already know, but it's none other than the fantastic Taha Mansour.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me, Ashley.
And thank you for being here. Honestly, Taha, very, very quickly, guys, if you haven't seen, obviously, Taha's podcast, listened to Taha's podcast episode, do go check that out. It's absolutely fantastic. And Taha, just to tell you, because it'll be fantastic for you to hear, we had some magicians, mentalists, and laymen reach out to us afterwards and say that your thoughts that you gave and some of the thoughts of how you connect all these various different areas and bring them into magic. We had so many people saying you are a literal genius. So I'm really excited to have you on the YouTube channel
that
for
means
this.
So much.
Yeah, no, it was a great podcast episode. And anyone, if you haven't obviously listened to it, check the description here. It will take you straight to obviously that specific podcast episode so that you can obviously listen to the chat I had with the fantastic Taha. But now, Taha, you're here today to really talk about something that you specialize in outside of magic, something that you've helped me a lot with, and it's all about negotiation. And the reason why I've got you here to talk about negotiation is one, well, the magicians and the mentalists all here are probably thinking, well, negotiation, I could use that when I'm on the phone in Zoom calls or speaking to clients, right? But it doesn't just stop there, does it? You know, as Chris Voss said, we go through negotiations every single day, whether you're buying a coffee, whether you're deciding with your girlfriend which restaurant to go to. Although in England currently with tier 4 lockdown, that's kind of irrelevant, but you get the point. So Taha, I thought it'd be great if I pass over to you and you just kind of run down, just for the viewers watching this, how it all came about, you learning all about the really interesting side of negotiation, which you do, and all of that stuff outside of magic. Can you give us a brief rundown of that, if that's okay?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, let's go back to my studies. So what I did in parallel to mentalism, I studied engineering in Centrale Paris, which is an engineering school in France. And I sort of specialized in management and soft skills and psychology applied to companies. And then I started working with a company after doing an internship with them, with a company that specializes in soft skill trainings. So basically, in short terms, what soft skills are everything that you learn that aren't hard. What I mean by hard is like math, physics, how to optimize and stuff like that. Soft skills are how you speak, how you deal with creativity, how you stress, all the things that, a lot of the things that TSM are actually dealing with, and that can literally be applied when you're communicating with somebody. How do you stop a violent discussion from happening? How do you manage a company, etc.? So what we do with our company, we intervene in schools and other companies to sort of teach them all these things that are actually crucial in the working of a company, but they are never taught in a school. Literally, I don't know about the rest of the world, but here in France, the managers and the people dealing with the big orders are the best ones that come out of their school, but the best academic students. So the people that excel in math, in physics, in, I don't know, in engineering. But then they are the best in engineering, and then they put them in the company and they're like, right, you have to deal with 10 people. One of them has a nervous breakdown, the other one completely hates another guy, the third one has to take a medical leave. What do you do? And they're like, I don't know, X plus Y. I have no idea. And so we intervene and we sort of teach them all these things on how to deal with other people. And so one of the things that we do teach is negotiation, which is more than just dealing with money. It's literally whenever you are talking with somebody else and you have two opposing views on something. That's literally it, to be fair. And that's basically, as Chris Voss says, what happens most of the time. When you're going to buy something from a shop and then the I don't know, not the server, the seller or the salesman comes to tell you, oh, okay, what would you like to buy? he wants you to buy something, so he doesn't know what you have in mind, and you don't know what to buy and don't want to go in his direction. So there's a negotiation happening. So if you understand the key concepts of, well, not the key, some key concepts of how a good negotiation can happen, you will have situations where your negotiations will be much more powerful, but not just for you, for both sides, which is the counterintuitive part.
Yeah. And I think you've touched on something which is really important there. And you brought it up about managers. And I've always said that the best managers are ones which like actually care and are
Mhm.
actually compassionate. And I think like when you bring that in, like it can definitely help out with negotiations when you actually care about the person you're talking to, right?
Definitely. Yeah, it's the first thing. So there are a couple of rules, and then we'll go through it, Ashley, if you want. But basically, most of the time, why a negotiation happens badly, and I know you might be thinking, you're completely wrong. I completely hate the guy. If I want to go to my boss and I want to ask him for an augmentation, and he goes, no, I completely hate him, and I won't understand. But a good negotiation start off with benevolence. So understanding the other person and actually, just like you said, Ashley, empathizing with them, trying to understand their point of view and trying to bring them together. Once there is an empathy going on, once there is an understanding, even if the other guy is completely like shut off, after 2 or 3 steps of you being benevolent with them, they will start caring about you, which is the amazing thing of soft skills.
Yeah. And there is also another point before we go through obviously the stages of negotiation, like you've kindly agreed to share with us here. And although we say be compassionate and that, and actually care from them, there's times where you want to avoid emotion, isn't there, in negotiations?
Yeah, definitely. Um, the thing, so when you talk about emotion, most of the time the first emotion that comes is anger. In negotiation, the first thing that comes up is anger or sadness. Both of the things where we feel that we're disappointed by 2 reasons. First of all, most of the time we feel disappointed when the other person is not understanding us. We're like, how can he not understand that I need this augmentation because I need to buy a new house and I need more money in order to, well, deal with the rent I took from the bank? And he's not understanding that. He's not giving me he's such an a-hole or anything like that. And so that misunderstanding turns into anger. And the problem is anger, well, shows off. And if you show off your anger, then naturally by mirroring, the other person will become angry with you too. And it's all about mirroring. It's based on something, uh, what we have in our mind, which are called mirror neurons, which basically are most neurons in our minds, the ones that deal with motion, with emotions, stuff like that, mirror what we see in someone else in front of us. But what I mean by mirror is literally they activate themselves when somebody else is doing something you're not doing. So, for example, if somebody else in front of you uh, starts bleeding from the arm, I don't know, he cuts himself, suddenly you feel some pain. It's sudden, but you see that point where you see someone hurting in front of you and then you feel their pain. It's not natural, but it's just your neurons activating in the part where theirs are activating. So if you start becoming angry, naturally the other one is going to mirror you and he's going to become angry and then clash.
That makes a lot of sense. So I think at this point, we've really spoken about some fantastic points associated with negotiation, a couple of things people should, remember, and ultimately not to talk to someone if they've got a cut arm, because then your arm will hurt. But
Yeah,
Taha,
that's true.
can you take us through like the stages of negotiation now? Like for someone who's a complete beginner or someone who's a sales pro or just a pro at talking to people, what where should they start? Like, what should they learn? What should they forget? Where should they start from? Like, how do they go through this negotiation process? Like,
Okay. So I'm going to rely on a tool we use in my company whenever we want to do a training on negotiation. Now, be aware, negotiation takes some time to train. And so if you want to go further, you can contact me later on, and then we can sort of intervene and maybe do some trainings for you and stuff like that, because it takes some time to practice.
Yeah.
But I'll
Well,
go
what
through
is
this.
what's your company called so
Yeah,
people can
so it's
search
called
it?
Next Level Formation, and the link will be below. But you can contact me in my mail directly, and then I'll put you through, and then we can discuss about your needs. So whether you're in a school, you're a teacher, or even you work in a company, and you think that these tools are crucial for your working, we can definitely intervene there and give you a whole day of trainings and actual presentation. And you've been through one, Ashley, right? Um, but let's go through the theory. What we're going to base on ourselves here is something called reasonable negotiation that has been developed by Harvard. So this sort of takes information from many different aspects of psychology, be therapies or just soft skills, communication, neurology, and etc. And they've combined all these principles to get the best out of, and even creativity, to get the best out of negotiation. So there is an acronym you have to remember. The acronym is ACIBO, ACIBO. And each one of the words stands out for something you have to keep in mind when doing a negotiation. So the first one is assertiveness. Assertiveness means simply being confident with your idea, saying them while respecting the other person. So, for instance, if I am if, for example, I want to ask Ashley to give me the time, I'll like, hey, Ashley, could you give me the time? That's not assertive, because like I'm sort of forcing you to do it, right? Because like I'm like, I need that, but I don't care about you, and then just give it to me. The other type of discussion which is not assertive is if I feel that I'm in the wrong position. So if I go something like, excuse me, Ashley, I'm really sorry. I don't want to bother you too much, but do you mind giving me the time, please? I'm really, really sorry. I hope I didn't disturb you. See, same thing here. I'm not confident in my idea. I'm not confident in the fact that I have the right to ask that question. And so he'll give it to me, but he'll feel more powerful. And in negotiation, you don't want the other person feeling more powerful than you. Or on the other way around, when I ask you the first time, you sort of feel that I'm mistreating you. So you don't feel too good. And same thing, it's that for negotiation. So assertiveness is being confident in your idea and being and respecting the other person. So that's the first thing, it's very crucial. The second one is working on objective criteria. C is for criteria. What is meant by objective criteria is most of the time in a negotiation, when we want to get the person to do something, we sort of play on things that are not very ethical, like moral, what's good, what's bad, playing on their emotions. So saying like, you're not very nice in saying that, or I know your brother, he might not think good of you, or you know that you're mistreating it, stuff like that. That's not good. That's not going to take you anywhere, because emotions, what you're feeling, what's good and bad, is subjective. I'm not going to go into philosophical dilemma here because we're going to go for ages, but it's subjective. So especially you don't want to go when you're negotiation to a philosophical debate with them, right? So an objective criteria is I need that because da da da. You want that because da da da. I have a rent. I have a daughter. I need money because I'm struggling right now. These are objective criteria. So that's the second important thing to keep in mind. The third one, and this is the really interesting one, it's interests versus positions. So let me get a little bit of details. So I for interests. There are two types of discussions or debates. One of them is a debate of interest, and another one debate of position. A position is a fixed state of mind that will not move with any form of argumentation. So for example, a religious debate, a political debate, a debate about morals, that is a position. If I say, hey, I really like Donald Trump because I thought that he has a good personality and stuff like that, and you go, well, no, of course not. He has a very good. It won't take us anywhere. I will not be convinced by your arguments. You will not be convinced by mine. I'll be convinced by mine. You'll be convinced by yours. So that's a position, because it's the interpretation of the outside world. However, if you want a negotiation to happen, you must move the negotiation from a position to a interest. And an interest is, for example, let's go back to the Donald Trump thing. Maybe I liked him because what I needed in a president is a president that is direct, and that is not sort of beautiful in his words. I'm not pro Donald Trump, by the way, but just giving an example. But who's direct. So my interest is, look, I need a leader who's direct in what he says, what he feels, even if it's not going to help the society. I want somebody who's interesting. And now you might sort of understand more where I'm coming from. And you might say, yeah, I see, but at the same time, I need a president with whom I can trust. So this is our interests. And now a president we can trust and a president who's direct, these are not opposing factors. And we can come up with a new president that has both of these interests. And that's the most important thing with this negotiation. And I know this will sound very weird because it's very counterintuitive. A good negotiation, you are trying to get the best out of both of you and not just what you want. Because even if you leave the negotiation getting what you wanted, but the other person is feeling bad, that is just a in temporal, it's just good like today. But if you were to rediscuss with that person later on, he will remember that he had a bad experience with you. So it will destroy all your other things. And now, interests, how you know about interests, this is the thing that will sound weird. Say everything. I repeat it. Say as much as you can to the other person. Even if you feel that the information is personal or you feel that it's irrelevant, say it. And I know you might think, no, I don't want my boss to know that I have a weak wife because maybe he'll take advantage of me. No, he won't. Most of the time, a negotiation does not work simply because the other person does not understand your interests. If I don't know why you're asking me for an augmentation, how am I supposed to give you what you need, right? And maybe I can't give you what you need simply because I have another interest. And so my need as a negotiator, I need to do two things. First of all, is give as much information as I can and to dig in them by getting as much information from them because they will announce their position. And what I need to know is their interest in that position. As soon as you get that, this is where both worlds, you and them, will creatively combine. You'll combine your creativity to come up a solution which I guarantee you will be better than your initial thing you wanted. And actually, you've tried that out, right? How did that feel, by the way? I was just curious.
It, like, I mean, to be honest, Taha, I've taken everything you've said, and we done the and you mentioned we actually done a training, and it was the what was it, the Harvard Rolls Royce training?
Yes, the Bentley,
And
the Bentley car.
yeah, the Harvard Bentley convertible training, and oh my, and the SIBO, like you stick to that. What I found best was like writing that down, and keeping the notes of everything so I could look down and say, right, I am sticking on track and going from there. And it's really weird because I used to work as an estate agent, and they didn't speak about any of this. And obviously I was a sales negotiator, negotiating all the time. And a lot of the time you was meeting resistance, and sometimes people go away and be like, oh, I've not got what I want. Oh, this is that, this is that. But this changes everything. And I've used this in the real world and actually trying it on people. It's so bizarre. You get what you want, they get what they want, and everyone's happy. And like, when you're negotiating something, what a beautiful place to be in. Like, you've given them exactly what they want, and you've got exactly what you want. And that means your reviews, which you're going to get in from your customers, or your relationships, which you've got with those people, are going to be so much better because, well, you've given them everything, well, mostly what they wanted, and then they're happy with the outcome. Guys, so if you haven't already, definitely scroll down and write down a SIBO and wrote down all the specific notes to go with that. But yeah, I just want to say that I've taken all of this as advice and used it in a few scenarios myself, and it's gone down a storm, and I've left every single negotiation with an outcome that was sometimes favorable for me or better than the initial outcome that I actually went in wanting.
That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that, actually, because that really means a lot when I know that you can actually apply it and then it works. It's so amazing, and the feeling is insane. And so if a quick explanation as to why that works. The reason why you're finding resistance is because both of you have a different prism in seeing the world. Each one of the person has, each one of you has a different way of seeing the world because of culture, because of what you've experienced and stuff like that. So you have two different ways of creating and being creative. So what reasonable negotiation does is like, you're finding resistance because you're looking at the same thing but from a different perspective. So what if we take these different perspectives and combine them to make something even more creative, to emerge something that is better than any of us would have ever imagined? So that's interests versus positions. I'll give you a quick example of positions. And this is an example we do in trainings, but it's a very brief one. Let's say there is somebody who is in a room, right? And his goal is he should not leave the chair. He has to sit in the chair. He should not leave the chair. Another person, his goal is to remove that guy from the room. That guy has to get out. Now, at first you might think, well, that's completely opposing, right? How is that possible? Well, here's the thing. This is position. When you think, okay, that guy is there in that position, I will not move him. And the other guy sitting down is thinking, okay, I'm in this position, I will not move. Then it's a debate of positions. But once we move the debate of positions to interests, the guy's interest is to stay sitting down. And the other guy's interest is to remove the guy from the room. So one solution could be to drag the chair out of the room with the guy still sitting on it. This is something that actually helps both of them. Everybody will be happy. And when I mean happy, it's not like a yeah, no, they're completely glad because that's exactly what they wanted. This is a simple example, but that's exactly what happened in negotiation. One thing you have to be aware though, you have to be patient. This is something you will go through different things and you will go, no, he's not understanding me. You have to be patient and you have to dig deeper. How do you dig? You don't ask closed questions, so by yes and no, you ask open questions. Why? Dig deeper. Why do you say that? Why do you feel that? Why do you not want to give me money? Is it a problem? Dig, dig, dig. The more you dig, the more you give yourself, the more it opens up the other person, and the more you can then move on to B and O. Let's get to B and O. B is your BATNA, best alternative to non-agreement.
I was just going to bring that up because this it makes a lot of sense what you're about to say here. So guys, get ready with a pen and paper. Like,
mark this down. So the best alternative to non-agreement is simply the plan B. What happens if the negotiation goes bad? And when I say if, normally it won't go bad because of that. But you have to keep aware of that, and this is crucial. The one in the discussion with the best BATNA is the one in power. I repeat, the person with the best BATNA is the one in power. Let me give you an example. Let's say in your country, there is a bank who has the monopoly of all the banks. There are no other banks, right? It's just a single bank. Let's call it bank. I'm not imaginative. Let's just call it bank. You go to them and you want to ask for a loan, right? And you want to negotiate the percentage of interests and you want to lower them, right? Well, what's your BATNA? You don't have another choice, do you? Because that's the only bank that exists, right? So when you'll go there, unconsciously and even sometimes consciously, you're thinking, oh my God, if I don't succeed, I have no place to go. I just can't do anything. So I'm going to abide by every single thing they tell me. Even if they ask me, like, I don't know, to clean the entire building, I'll do it because I have no other choice. Whereas them, what's their BATNA? They forget about you. That's like, you don't want, fine. We'll remove you. That's clear as day. That's why in that negotiation, you will be less confident than them, and this will break the balance. So what's important here is before you go to any negotiation, try your best to think about your BATNA and think it through. What happens if the negotiation does not go as planned? As soon as you have a correct plan, keep that in mind because you will always, while negotiating with them, you'll always keep that in mind and that will bring you confidence. And that confidence actually translates to the other guy in front of you that, oh my God, he has so many different plans that he literally doesn't care and he's going to get what I get. It's exactly the same thing when you're negotiating with your bank. When you go there, they feel so confident. They're like, yeah, go ahead, tell me what you want. Or with your boss, right? He's so confident. Why is that? Because you're like, oh my God, he's so confident. That means he has so much power over me. But if you take the time to construct a decent BATNA, you'll go there feeling confident. However, I must warn you, it is crucial, I repeat, crucial to never say your BATNA. Do not say it. Because if you do say it, then they can take it and break it. As easy as that. Let's say, for example, I want to go to my bank, so in a real example, and I want to open a new credit, right? And I noticed that I want to negotiate my interest because I noticed that my BATNA simply is there's another bank who has 1.5% of interest, whereas this one has 2. So I want to lower them to less than 1.5 because simply in my mind, it's like, if they don't want, I'll go to the other bank. Now, what happens if I tell them? Now, let's pretend I'm with my consultant and I'm like, okay, you know what? If you don't lower your thing to 1.4%, I can just go to the other bank and they're proposing 1.5. Now, they know my plan B. And what they can say is simply, oh, you know what? Then go to them. But know this, when you open an account with us and not with them, you get 200 euros for free, which is not them. But then just do whatever you want. And your button now is completely crushed. You have nowhere to go. You're like, oh my God, that other bank sucks. So if you know the plan B of the other person, you can instantly crush it by reinterpreting it in another way. Everything has negatives, everything. So your BATNA, you keep it to yourself. The more you keep it to yourself, the more you're confident in the fact that you can leave this. Okay? Now we'll get to that final thing, and which is one of my favorites. It's always an option. What is meant by an option is you have to work together with the other person to find an option that suits both parties, not just you, not just them. Even if you come up to a solution and they sort of agree, but you feel that they're not satisfied with it, but you're completely satisfied, dig more. I know that might sound counterintuitive, but dig more. Because, like Ashley said, you want a long lasting relationship with them. And let's say you meet them again in 10 years, you want them remembering your positive things so you can work together. So work in options. So dig, show your things, and use your creativity to come up with new solutions that will suit both of you. And I guarantee you that this is where the day worth of training comes in. It's to understand that there are no opposing interests that are unresolvable. There is none. There is no negotiation that is unresolvable. Positions are unresolvable. Interests, never. So there we go. That's a SIBO for you.
There we go. Taha, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to coming onto the YouTube channel. And guys, I can say firsthand, I've taken like private one-on-one training from Taha in negotiation. It was the best thing I ever done. It was better than the years spent in a estate agency, working on the field, trying to sell houses. I learnt more in one day than I learned in years of a estate agency. Like, it's mad. And honestly, I can say, guys, like what Taha has gone through today, take it and run with it. You know, this is a real foundation to learn how to negotiate properly. And then after there, you're going to absolutely smash it. And like I say, you know, this can be used when speaking with clients, when dealing with good and bad clients, when dealing with inquiries, or even just in your personal life, when deciding what holiday to go on, or talking to the bank. I remember Chris Voss, you know, recently in lockdown, he was like, yeah, I've been out of negotiations a little while. I forgot to pay off my credit card. You know, I'll give him a ring, and he used his negotiation skills to make sure that he didn't have to pay any of the fees. Like, you know, negotiations is something that you don't have to just stick to sales to. It's a real goal, and like goal, it's a real skill which you need in your life, and that's why at your company, obviously, you teach soft skills and various different things which are far more better than maths and English and science that
Real
you learn
life,
at
yeah.
school. Yeah,
I'm going to
real
go back,
life.
by the way, to a point you said is finding where you're going to go on vacation or the restaurant. That's literally a debate of positions. Usually we go, I want to go to Italy. No, I want to go to Germany. That's a position. If you use a SIBO to change that position to an interest, like I want to eat spaghetti, and the other guy, like I want to discover I don't know, a hot place or learn some a new language that I haven't learned. Maybe then you can find a new place, I don't know, China, that will suit both of you. And that's basically negotiation, changing position to interest.
Yeah, that's it. As long as you can, and I always find if you're open and honest yourself, like to open them up, it's a great thing. You know, there's so many more ways which we can talk about negotiations, like talking about like the limbic system in your brain and talking about like the Johari window. But for obviously a basic understanding, well, I say basic, like this is bloody fantastic and it's gold, like an understanding and a core foundation of how to negotiate properly and effectively. Taha, thank you so much. Like, you've been an absolute pleasure to have on this YouTube channel. As always, with every guest, like Aidan was the last one we had on, always run over, but the value that you've given people today is just fantastic. So very, very quickly, where can people find you?
Okay, so it's been a pleasure, by the way, today. So where can you find me? You can find me on Facebook on my artist page. You can find me on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. Not all the videos are in English, but they're translated at the bottom, so you can still watch them. And I'm developing a website. But if you want to contact me for any questions for trainings or stuff like that, hit me up in my mail, and then I'll answer you gladly. So there we go.
There we are. All the links in the description, guys. And as always, do remember, do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you've enjoyed the stuff that you've been learning today and in the previous videos. You know, if you did enjoy this, click the like button. And if you've got any comments that you would like to maybe ask and delve further into this, whack it in the comments, because you know, I can be active in the comments, and if Taha in his busy schedule is free, I'm sure we can get a specific answer for you. So do let us know if there's anything else you want to ask. Whack it below. But we will see you next time. And remember, guys, on the TSM YouTube, we launch a brand new video every single Friday at precisely 3:30 p.m. London time. So do subscribe, do like the video, do leave a cheeky comment, and we'll see you next week with a brand new and exciting video. I'll see you soon. Take care.